Welcome, beautiful divine masculine and feminine darlings. This is the Seraphim Gypsy, SeraFae Indigo Empress, and Shiloh Horizon. I don't plan to be here for too long, but I do have a little reading to do. I'm here. Hi, baby. Hello, honey bunny. Want some more? A little more, shall we? Hi, Annie. You excited? I love you. Let me get you some of this too. He's a good boy. Just a little bit of that. Give you a good mix. So I'm here just to do a quick energy update and then also to address something that I noticed yesterday. This account has been popping up on my feed for the last week or so, on and off, and I've been ignoring it. I wasn't called to it, and honestly, I didn't like this girl's energy just right off the jump, just based on the scrolling. It's an imprint. It's a fingerprint they have. And this particular person claims to be somebody who is speaking divine truth. In fact, that's in her username handle. She started this account a month ago, and as of just over the last couple days, even has been plagiarizing even the video titles, aspects of the video titles that I've been posting, and trying to set up her station, changing it every day to reflect what I said in the last reading. It's very specific. And I find it quite ironic that this person is claiming to be divine, claiming to be honest while they're doing things like this. I also noticed that, again, this account is about a month old, and it's not long after the annual date of the Aiden Wolfshadow plagiarizing stuff. It's the same cycle again, except for it's a female this time. And what happened a few years ago was Aiden's account started popping up on my feed, and he was plagiarizing content from people that was accurate sounding. So the information wasn't accurate, it was just coming from a non-viable source. And the reason that that's a problem, well, if it's accurate information, yeah, but here's the thing. Fake readers and people will take information that they think sounds good from real practitioners and take it out of context or spew it as rhetoric out of context, i.e. But it's to convince people that they should come book a personal reading or do something like that. Yeah, see, Divine Masculine says, okay, so it's not where the information is coming from. It's the fact that people might think that that person's trustworthy and then put their whole life's decisions in that person's hand when they're a fake prophet looking for money. Yep, that's the problem. They're looking, imagine somebody goes to that person for advice on whether or not they should divorce their partner or move to a different city or whatever, and they're given advice on the opposite thing that they should be doing that is in their highest interest because they're listening to someone, they paid for the advice, so they're taking it, right? Even if it's fake. That's dangerous. Tell somebody to quit their job or take a job that's not for them. Tell somebody to stay in a place that's not for them or move to a place that's not for them. Tell someone to leave a relationship or destroy a connection with a true love. What, in exchange for a karmic? Yeah, that's the type of advice that comes from people like that. So I see it coming and I said no. Except in Aiden's case, initially, when his account started popping up, I was reblogging his content that he was stealing from others. I hadn't quite picked that up yet. I think really it was a trap. He was also being tested. God sent me as karma. And then I noticed he was doing it to me. And so I spent a few months boosting his account, continually sharing his videos, growing his channel for him, while he was trying to siphon from me and steal from me. And so the same pattern emerged. This account popped up a month old, just like the same exact cycle, timeline, and pattern of Aiden Wolf's shadow a few years ago, initially. Except for this time I didn't reblog. Cycle closed. Call it a curse broken. And I saw that. No. You're not divine and you're not truthful. She wants me to say her name, but I won't. This one's also small fry. She's managed to earn about 1,000 followers or so, but I also know that the karma that's about to befall her is about to knock her on her behind, so that doesn't matter. Anyway, let's see, shall we? I don't wish that for people, by the way, but I am a real prophetess, so I do know what's coming. Why? Because God told me. This is what's going to happen to the people who've been causing you harm or stealing from you. Okay, Sky Daddy. Thanks for the heads up. Take your hands off it. I got it. I'm about to whoop their ass for you. Okay, Sky Daddy. Hands up. Let's do this one, shall we? Actually, you know what? That one's calling to me instead. That makes sense since she wanted to claim to be a practitioner of some kind. No. Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I just said that to an aunt of mine. There's one aunt that I have that I speak to. She's Native American like me. I don't speak to her brother, my biological father, and I don't have a relationship with her sister, but I do with this aunt. And she's very similar to me in certain ways, and very often aspects of the native, free-spirited, even eccentric self. Those are very consistently ridiculed, misjudged, not understood, or really just attacked out of jealousy by other people. And I just, in fact, I can pull it up verbatim, sent her a message. After calling out one aunt, a disowned aunt, for stealing, I opened up a message from another, sending love. This is not somebody who lives in my area. But distance knows no bounds. Let's see. Verbatim. Anybody who ever tried you is an asshole. I can relate, I said. You and I are similar in ways that people try to pick on us for. It's their loss. It's their loss. Let me show you this. They're very angry, these karmics. I was going to say, I don't know why you're so angry, but I'm picking it up. It's because their tactics aren't working. They thought that they could attack us into, like, what? Submission or... Yeah, here, that's exactly what it is. No, that's a no for me. Fuck you. It's your loss. Good people don't lose people. You lose us. Next. Stupid. Freebird. A real creator, not a plagiarizer or a copycat. Anything else? Yeah. These people do not deserve sympathy, empathy, compassion at this point. These were evil people. Check the last community board post. These are people who chose to gang up on women and children with convicted domestic abusers to plot on them to steal money and inheritance and things like that, all right? That compassion, empathy, sympathy, that does not go to them. It goes to the people they targeted. Shine bright like a diamond. And in that last community post, I also posted the Rihanna song, Better Have My Money. And I meant what I said. I do suggest you run. I also saw 11:11 on the clock this morning. Yeah. It was their personal poor choice, but the exposure of all of this, not a mistake, divinely planned. They weren't supposed to do what they did. It was always supposed to come out. Yep, instead of taking on the fear or more specifically projections of others, I reflect love exactly. And rather than seeing the blockages and obstacles that they created, I see the opportunities. You see, they thought, for example, okay, let's steal from her and then she'll be stuck. Really? Really? Imagine all of the money I'm going to make in the book I write about everything you did to me. You think you took some pocket change? Your reputation is forever ruined and I'm going to make bank off of what you did to me and my daughter. Joke's on you, bitch. Clown. I will not be taking tickets to your circus. Not my clowns. Not my monkeys. Not my circus tent. I communicate with ease and grace. People are willing to embrace what I say. Now, I also wrote about that in the community board. And this particular greasy aunt who stole inheritance stood up at the funeral in a microphone and told the whole crowd that she was the best person there, that she was the best sibling out of all of her siblings, and that her mother had saved the best for last, meaning she was the best out of all the children as the youngest child, even though she's 60 years old and stealing from her niece and grandniece. Claiming to be a queen on her Facebook, but acting like a bottom feeder while stealing from actual royal bloodline. Oh, and she's not royal. Yeah, this aunt that's been stealing, she's not royal. That comes from a different side of my family. But she wanted to compete with real royal bloodline. Bitch, please. It's not yours. Never was. Okay. So you see all these karmics are crossing over. They're all thieves, no matter whether it's content or actual money. In this case, this aunt stole gold, diamonds, a whole plethora, a whole closet full of designer handbags, including Louis Vuittons that go at least a few $1,000s a pop. Not small ones, like the big nice tote Louis. Yeah, with matching pocketbooks. Thank you. So gold, diamonds, a bank full of cash, designer handbags and items. And I've also been made aware of some degree of insurance policy, life insurance or something, which this greedy, crooked aunt had access to. She had the bank account information. She had all of that, and she decided she was going to break the law and try to play God, try to play boss, try to play judge, try to play lawyer and jury, and cut me out of an inheritance that she did not have the authority to do, that my grandmother left my daughter and I. Thank you very much. She flew in from Florida for 2 or 3 days, just long enough to snatch everything and then jump on a plane with all the stolen goods and jet back. And that's where she's been hiding ever since. But guess what? extradition, bitch. For those who don't know what that is, she committed a crime in Maine by stealing from my child and I in Maine. And then she jumped on a plane to Florida to escape the consequences of her crimes in Maine. So guess what happens? The authorities here can and will contact the authorities in Florida and have her ass put on a plane to be sent back here for trial and to be arrested. Especially since she chose to involve herself with tampering with child crimes and obstruct investigations on domestic, child, and sexual abuse. On her nieces at that. Some great aunt, huh? Nasty. Alrighty then, we're moving on from this topic. Other than my grandmother found out that she was going over to these convicted abusers' house who she snatched the inheritance with before my grandmother died, and she was pissed about it. The fact that this chick thought it was appropriate, the fact that she thought she'd have ancestral support after, or that she would, A, have ancestral support, or B, not be haunted. Oh, girl, that was delusional. Because let me tell you what, the ancestors that were already active, they were pissed, you know. Except for God has woken a whole bunch more up. You wanted to send conflict and armies at me, guess what? Mine is bigger and much stronger. Stay seated. Frankly, so am I. Next. Now let's see what this fake divine truth person, you want to talk about this fake divine truth person? What about this? What do you have to say about this? Copycat. If I'm wrong, tell me, of course. No, I'm not. It's at the bottom. You're not. You know what you're talking about. I know. Now, remind you, I dismissed this for days. This person's channel kept forcing its way into my feed, and I kept pushing it away, but it kept coming up. And eventually the angel said, no, you need to check that one. It was this one video that she posted. It had something in it that I spoke about the night. I can't ignore this anymore. Fine, let's check it out. I really didn't want to go anywhere near her energy because it was gone. And now I know why. Because she's been trying to siphon mine to cloak her own nasty ass in. Nope. Take that right back, wash it out, and you're left with nothing but the scummy bummy bottom feeder you are. T. Don't think I don't know your name. You just don't get clout. Thanks very much. So there is soul tribe around. Those people just aren't it. There's a new beginning happening here. What did I tell you? You're in big trouble. Big trouble. Yep. And I'm moving on. I just talked about this, that past life regression, Empress Josephine, and the way that the Empress Josephine had a shisty aunt. And she had 2 daughters, this aunt, but she was sleeping with a married man. So she was the mistress of a married man. This guy had a wife, and he had a son, and he had a mistress, and the mistress had 2 daughters. He got tired of the side piece, and he did not want to pay for her and her 2 daughters anymore. So he said, okay, away with you. And she said, no, please keep paying for me like a prostitute. Stacy Crowley. Queen where? Okay. And she said, I've got a niece. I'll give my niece to your son to marry, and then just keep me. Don't leave me. And he said, all right, I guess. So she sold her niece to an abusive person for marriage, arranged an abusive marriage so that she could stay a prostituting side piece. Stacy Crowley. Okay? He kidnapped her children. He abused her. He either, in each life, persecuted her, Josephine, for being spiritual, or tried to throw her in a convent when he wanted to go sleep around and cheat and be with other people. Either way, persecuted her for spirituality or tried to force her into it. Okay, from the money to the abuse to the theft. All of it that they did. They repeated the same thing. A so-called aunt ganging up with an abuser against her own niece. Yep, through the lives. Stacy didn't clear that karma. She repeated it again. Thank you very much. So there's that. And mind you, even if there were no crossovers between past life energies, this would be just as much of a crime today, and it would be just as foul. I just happened to notice the synchronicity and the parallel. And remember, she used to come asking me for mediumship advice. When Miss Michaela Conley was a missing person in town, she came to me and she asked me, is Michaela alive? And Michaela came to me before she asked this and told me, no, I'm gone. I walked past a missing poster and I saw her face on it. And I got this, my stomach dropped and I got the death prophecy. I knew she was gone. She came to me and told me, I'm gone. I'm dead. I walked upstairs to my grandmother's house at that, and who was sitting on the couch but Stacy. And the first thing, they were all looking for her, I guess. She was a missing person. The first thing that Stacy asked me was, because she knows I'm a medium, this is in my testimonial page on my website, was, is she alive? And I said, I'm sorry to tell you this, but she did come to me a few minutes ago. I thought it was weird at first because I don't know who she is. I don't recognize her, but that poster was screaming at me. Like I was oblivious in my own world with my music, and I stopped dead in my tracks. It just caught my attention. I almost walked by it and I had to turn around. My stomach dropped. And I knew something was trying to tell me something. So I turned around and I looked, and that was that poster. 30 seconds later, because I was right in front of the house at that point, I walked up to see my grandmother. And mind you, that was a fluke too. I was at home here, busy. And I got this weird, my grandmother and I have always been super telepathic. Like one of us would pick up the phone to call the other and it would ring and the other one would be on the line. I was just thinking about you. I was just picking up the phone to call you. I know, I felt you. I was thinking about you too. So I had this weird feeling like I needed to go drop what I was doing to see my grandmother, and then the phone rang, if I recall. I either went down all of a sudden to just go check in, or as I was getting ready to go down, the phone rang and she asked me to come or something. I forget right now which one it was, but somebody says why. It was many years ago now. There's been a lot of stuff that's come up in between. And that detail's minuscule, comparatively speaking. I'm sure if I sat with it for a while, I could work it out, but neither here nor there. I digress. I walk up the stairs and drop everything I was doing at home to do it. Just had this weird feeling like I needed to go into town to see her, and I did. When I get there, Stacy happened to just be visiting there at that point. And I may not have caught her there if I had gone later or earlier. But either way, she asked me, she was just visiting for a moment. She asked me if Michaela was alive, and I said no, I'm picking up that she's gone. And then I sat for about half an hour, 40 minutes, and then about an hour goes by, and I decide, all right, it's time to go home. I still have to go finish my tasks that I put down to come here on a divine calling. And so I go to walk back up the block to go home. And I can't go up my normal street that wasn't blocked off when I left, because they had just found Michaela's body. After I had told Stacy, no, she's dead, they found her body. But when she asked me that question, they were still looking for her actively. And the thing about that is the street that they found her on, that is a street that has a playground on it that I regularly for many years have always taken my daughter on, 25, 22. And she actually had asked me that week, can we go to that playground? And I had a bad feeling, something about it. This was when she was missing. And I think even before people knew she was missing, it was like a whole week. I had this terrible, it was just bad energy. I couldn't go there. I knew that. I don't know why. Didn't know why, but I knew something was off. I couldn't even walk down that street. I kept being called to take different routes, not my normal one. But it's because her body was decomposing. This dude had knocked her out and assaulted her and then tossed her over the side of the bank. And guess what? I saw it and was texting people about what she showed me and told me happened to her before they found her body. I saw it. He was this big, giant football player, scholarship football player. She was a small, probably 90 pounds soaking wet little girl. And I saw her. He was forceful with her because he wanted her body. And I don't know if he did it intentionally or he was just too rough with her. He was drunk and also a big, giant football player. And I saw her head hit something, like a rock or something when she hit the ground, she hit her head. And I saw him fling her over his shoulder or drag her by the arms or carry her or something and like toss her over a hill or an embankment. And when they finally found her body and did the autopsy, that is what happened. And she, just like I saw, was sexually assaulted. She showed me before they found her body, and I have written text messages about it and witnesses. That aunt who stole my inheritance, well, she was one. There's a reason my grandmother is pissed. You know, she might be dead, but she was sitting in the living room when that conversation happened, and she took part in it. That's why she's not happy with them. She's not tolerating what they did. They're not getting away with it, and they're being haunted to shit. Because I'm supported, but they're not. Why? They were not familial. That was not a sisterhood. That was grifting scheme. And I'm protected, but they're not. This goes for a divine liar, too. Horton here's a bitch-ass liar. Yeah. You got to clear out the demons first. And that's what we do with the truth. So as far as, this was my question in regards to this divine truth energy, plagiarizer. If I'm wrong, God, tell me what's up. If I'm wrong, tell me. Your vibration is rising. You are the oracle. God said, no, you're not. If I'm wrong, then tell me. You're confirming this girl is plagiarizing, copying from me. That's what you're putting down. Because I'm picking it up. That's a yes. Your guidance is divinely guided. Follow it. And so I might have to call out and whistleblow here, but it's also a double mission. I'm channeling and speaking the truth and whistleblowing, but it's also